What was your evaluation of Shedeur Sanders, and how do you think he'll do there?
My evaluation was the most accurate quarterback I thought in this draft.
People consistently saying, "Hey, Shedor's a nice guy. He's this. He's a hard worker." Like, yeah, I'm tired of hearing it at this point. Shedeur Sanders, we've been talking about him once or twice, right? But it's not because I want to talk about it so much. It's because the people keep talking about it so much. Look, the NFL greats are crowning Shedeur Sanders as an elite talent. So we're going to hear from some NFL Browns legends. We're going to hear from some NFL legends in Kurt Warner. Joe Bitonio is one Browns legend. We're going to listen to the Browns legend and Joe Thomas. And then we're going to review a few things. Michael Irvin's going to say a few things. And after that, we'll yap it up. So let's start right here. With Cleveland or ESPN Cleveland. They do great things, great radio there. We've covered them a lot on the channel. And this is what Joel Bitonio, legendary offensive lineman for the Browns, this is what he had to say about Shedeur Sanders so far.
I think to have two young guys that can develop and kind of battle and push, there's really nothing wrong with it. I was there this last week, and I was around him. He was in the meetings. Both of them were. I actually talked to the rookies one day, just, tried to give them some advice on how to, learn the playbook and stuff. And it's hard to tell in, 3 days, but I think if you look at every Instagram, every Twitter, everything the Browns do, it's something about, Shedeur Sanders or sign Nick Chubb. So I think it's the hot button topics, that we have. But, I've met him, just for a few days, and he seems like he's ready to work, just like all the rookies. It seems like a good rookie class. The guys are focused, trying to learn the playbook right now, which I told him, like, you're not going to play if you don't have the playbook. So, learn that as best as possible, and then kind of everything else will fall into place.
Pretty simple, pretty clean there. And I'm not gonna overblow it to say that this is like the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. But clearly Joel Bitonio doesn't think he's the starting quarterback, but he definitely came across as, hey, that's a guy that really wants to get after it, just like every single other rookie, and he really has his head down and is putting that work in. So that's something that again. We come to expect from Shedeur Sanders, right? Nothing that's gonna blow your mind, but I thought this was something interesting from Kurt Warner, legendary Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner, and very, very underrated late round. You know what I'm saying? Had to come back after bagging
The
groceries.
Browns have the deepest quarterback room in the league right now, and that doesn't even include the injured Deshaun Watson. What was your evaluation of Shedeur Sanders, and how do you think he'll do there?
My evaluation was the most accurate quarterback I thought in this draft. When he sets his feet, when he's comfortable in the pocket, and he delivers the football, the ball goes where he wants it to go. And, this was a quarterback that was asked to have to win football games for his team. I don't think that can be overstated, is that, you go to a team, it's a really good team, and you become a complementary piece. Yeah, your stats might be a little bit better. Your win-loss record might be a little bit better. But to be asked to win games for your team, to have to go out there and throw the ball every single week for your team to be successful, and that's with, an offensive line that struggled over the last couple of years. I think there was a lot to like about Shedeur Sanders. Improvement, and I'm a guy that always says this. All of these guys coming out of the draft this year, I believe, must improve if they're going to be really good or great quarterbacks at the NFL level. So it's not just Shedeur. All of them have to get better in certain areas. But I believe there's a lot to like. And you give him a good offensive line, does he get more comfortable? If he's more comfortable, does he make more decisions on time and use that accuracy? And does that play to his favor at the NFL level? I'm interested to see that. But I really like Shedeur. And, he wasn't a fifth-round prospect, in my opinion. But again, I'm going solely off of tape. What I know off of tape, I thought he put some really, really good things on tape. And I'm excited to see how this Cleveland quarterback room plays out.
And like I continue to say every single time, look, y'all going to do anyway. So go ahead, call me Glaze in the comments, say whatever. You make so many Shedeur videos. Hey, man, you're watching it. Yeah, he's like, clearly, you know what I'm saying? You're clearly watching the video. But I consistently say nothing negative that we can say, this is a fact, has been said about Shedeur where anybody puts their name on it. No one has got in front of a camera that knows Shedeur personally, had personal experiences in that locker room, and put their name and stamp of approval and said something negative. Every single person, though, ex-NFL, ex-legend, ex-Browns, every single person who has played, been around football, or has put their names on things, when they front face, they say, hey, the kid can ball. Even Tony Grossi in our last video, the notorious, Shedeur hater, hey, that's what the Shedeur fans say. That's what the Shedeur fans say. Even he said, hey, Shedeur's got a chance to start, right? What I'm trying to say is that, like, don't believe things. Don't believe the propaganda if they're not going to use a scapegoat to do it, right? I heard people, Rico knows, getting mad saying, oh my God, the Sanders are not going to do it. It's all overblown media, XYZ. And it's like, well, what do you want us to go off of? There are multiple accounts, multiple people from multiple walks of life. You got an undrafted legendary quarterback, Hall of Famer, Kurt Warner, saying, hey, most accurate quarterback of the draft class. You got Joe Bitonio saying, and I know this isn't a big thing, but the way that y'all was talking about him on draft night, y'all, you would act like Joe Bitonio, one of the most hardest working, right? He's like one of the model. Only other person would be Joe Thomas. Would be the model of show up, discipline, hard work, grind through some bullshit, of playing on a terrible Browns team, but being elite offensive linemen. Both of these gentlemen, right? Obviously, Joe Thomas, the top of the tier, one of the greatest offensive tackles to ever play the game, happened to play for the Browns, and they wasted his career, right? And we're about to get into his comments too. But I don't know. It's so, I keep telling y'all this, and then it keeps coming out. More people keep putting, hey, not a fifth round, great talent, XYZ. Now, again, we have to have the conversation about the interviews, I guess. But every single time y'all told me, oh, it was the interviews, it was the off the field, it was the this, it was the that. Every single time y'all told me that, y'all are trying to frame it like, by the way, he had third round talent, which it just wasn't. It wasn't the case. He didn't have third round or fourth round or fifth round talent. Like, we can be honest. We can have an honest discussion, right? You can say I believe his off the field stuff was so terrible that he slid from second round, because I think second round safe. He would have been second round in the 2024. Like, talent wise, he would have been a second round pick in the 2024 quarterback class. That's not hot. That's not a hot take. Some people had him first round in the 2024 quarterback class. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't revisionist history me. Don't discredit him and say he's, oh my God, he doesn't have a winning record at Colorado, who was 1-11 before he got there. Discredit his HBCU years. And then more importantly, which is my issue, right? You're discrediting all of these videos that we have watched in these videos that we're making of people consistently saying, hey, Shedeur's a nice guy. He's this. He's a hard worker. Like, yeah, I'm tired of hearing it at this point. I'm tired of hearing. I know he's a hard worker. I know he's humble. I know he's ready to work. I know that he uplifts because people have been saying that about him for years. This isn't like some new media narrative. Like, I don't get it, dog. People just, I mean, we won't get into the real reasons, but and this was back in April 26th, so this was, I think, right after the draft, and this is what Hall of Famer offensive tackle Browns legend Joe Thomas had to say about the new Browns quarterback.
Because some people, they have a little bit of a negative opinion on Shedeur. It seems like you're a believer of what Shedeur could be as a quarterback.
Yeah, I really like Shedeur. I mean, I don't think he's the right pick at number 2 because of all the things I said about Travis Hunter, but I think as a quarterback, I think he's got the most important trait, and that's decision-making and accuracy. You can turn that skill set into a great quarterback in the NFL. Now, are you going to be Patrick Mahomes without a huge arm and amazing athleticism? No, but look throughout NFL history at the best quarterbacks. What sets them apart is always their decision-making and their accuracy. The guys who are self-made, like the Tom Bradys, the Drew Breeses, that's what they did best. And if you can do that, you can have great success at quarterback, and that's what I see with Shedeur Sanders.
That is, like I said, I'm not gonna undersell it. That's Joe Thomas, one of the greatest offensive tackles in NFL history, one of the greatest Browns in NFL history, and now confirmed. I guess, it says April 26th. It was probably recorded before the draft. When did the draft happen? I'm bad with dates. And locations. Anyway, not important. Whether it was before or after the draft, it seems like it was talking about it because he's talking about the number 2 pick, getting Travis Hunter. He says, hey, I don't like Shedeur at number 2 because, presumably you're getting Travis Hunter. That didn't happen. They got Mason Graham, yada, 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 right? But then he goes on to say, like, yo, this is a guy who has the model of what it really takes to be an NFL player. You're talking about a guy who, I'm not sure if his record is broken, but at the time of him playing, he had the record for most consecutive starts without missing a game, I believe. Somebody fact check me, pretty please. An absolute Iron Man, someone who has seen and watched legendary quarterbacks of all shapes and sizes and continues to follow the game. Somebody who, again, as a left tackle, understands the game of quarterback, understand what it means to be a lead quarterback, and as someone at left tackle who has, for the Browns, has seen plenty of terrible quarterbacks. Like, I have to trust Joe Thomas to know and to be able to. He could walk into a room that I'll put a room of 1,000 motherfuckers in there, and I'll put 3 shitty quarterbacks, and Joe Thomas should be able to just walk in the room and like feel there's 3 busts in here because he was playing for the Cleveland Browns. Like, he should understand that, right? So him of all people saying, matter of fact, I'm a huge fan of Shedeur. He does this great. He's a great decision maker. He likens him to Tom Brady. How like I just don't know, man. I don't know who else y'all want, I don't know what media narratives or what I'm saying, bias that you think is happening here. But every single person who's played football for a long time, also at a high level, just so happens, and not just at a high level, I'm talking about kids. If you're young and you don't know who Joe Thomas is, if you're not a Browns fan, if you didn't watch the NFL, go look. Like, I'm only people who really watch football really gonna understand. Joe Thomas is like, you know what I'm saying? He's like the offensive lineman's offensive lineman, right? Like, just the model of technique, showing up, dominating people, right? So for him to say those things, I didn't think he was going to be so glowing. Joe Bitonio just said, yeah, he's a good quarterback. Hey, Joe Thomas said, hey, yo, he's got the traits to be a legend, a real legend. And of course, now I'm gonna be honest with you. You know that Michael Irvin's biased. You know Michael Irvin's a primetime guy. But hey, what did he have to say on the Rich Eisen show?
I was both, pissed and then pleased. I know how hard he pursued that dream. You know how hard he talked about wanting to be drafted higher than his dad. It was one of the things that made him work, and how badly he wanted to go play in the NFL. There were times he was like, him and his brother, look, can we talk to you about talking to my dad to let us go to I said, keep me out of that. So to see him punish him like that and go through what he went through, that was painful for me. Where he's gone, he had to work his way up from the bottom. All they did by doing this, even though it was painful to watch him drop, I was pleased with how he handled it. They gave him that same start again. He'll start from the bottom and climb his way up, and he'll make it work. I can't wait.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting, and it's a really good note to end the video on. We're going to kind of wrap this up. I don't want to yap too much in your ear, but the biggest thing about this situation, and this is why I do think there was a little bit of collusion, but not in a negative way, right? I don't think they were colluding because, we hate Shedeur. I think they were, maybe there was some, hey, let him fall to day 3 because we had, historic day 2 and day 3 draft ratings, right? Because he's a money-making machine, right? And I think doing all of this, there has to be a little, look, come on, man. The NFL is smart. The NFL operates off media rights. They know what they're doing. How about, you know what I mean? How do we generate a few more views and we can affect somebody who already is a millionaire? Like, they, at that point, it's almost like a small casualty to them, right? But again, the monster they've created, which was probably something that they were also hoping that they did, right? You create this monster of ravenous fans, right? Ravenous Shedeur Sanders fan. Y'all want to get mad at, oh my God, people are putting up for Shedeur. But I mean, they seemingly disrespected him, right? They seemingly put him out there to be roasted and to be whatever and to be put up on an odd pedestal just to be dragged for 3 straight days. Like, that does create people wanting to really enjoy him. And it made me even a bigger Shedeur Sanders fan. I was already a Shedeur guy, but now it's like, well, now there's no reason to like, what is the reason to hate on Shedeur? Like, you've limited, like, the haters have to hate on something great. You know what I mean? Like, so if you make him, and by the way, he is great. He is legendary. He's going to continue to be that. He's never not going to be that. But what I mean is, when things aren't always going great, and there's like a real honest reason for these hating people, because a reason they want to hate Shedeur because they think that he's entitled and he's arrogant and he's got everything handed to him. So when he goes through a process of not getting things handed, not doing all those, and actually the exact opposite, right? And almost quote unquote punished. I don't think he was punished, but quote unquote punished, right? Even though this, 3-star FAU, goes to FCS school first, like he's done the, like, it was never easy. Like, I don't know why y'all think just because his coach is his dad. I guess he was on easy street at that point. He had to be the quarterback, and he had, with all these cameras, all this pressure of your dad. You understand that, like, if he fucked up, the more Shedeur fucks up, the more his dad gets thrown under the bus, the more his dad is able to, like, so do you understand? Like, that's a lot on your shoulders, dog. And he went out there and was the model of consistency, whether it was an FCS school, whether it was Colorado turning a place around. And then now you give him even more, like, don't add fuel to this fire with somebody with this. He's got resources. You just piss somebody off of resources. You made a fan base mad. He already had fans. Shedeur was going to be fine. If he was a 2nd overall pick, he would have had plenty of fans. It would have been all right. But then you boost those people, and now you turn some people who might have been Shedeur haters, that their only reason to hate Shedeur was he's overrated. He's, oh my God, he's a first. Well, he's not overrated anymore. You can't say, you literally can't say that. You can't say that he's overrated. You're getting a 5th-round rookie quarterback contract, coming up and working in a very, very hard. It's going to be hard to beat both Dylan Gabriel and a veteran, Joe Flacco. Kenny, I'm sorry. Kenny, I'm sorry, but come on, dog. The fake slide was the peak of your athleticism. Anyway, but hey, man, people keep telling you, legendary players keep telling you, they keep corroborating that. Look, Shedeur Sanders is an absolute top-tier player, athlete, and more importantly, I think, a top-tier leader. And I think that's going to go an extremely far way in this National Football League. You got some of the greats that have done it at the highest level, Iron Man levels. No Tony Stark telling you that, you know, Shedeur can definitely do it. So let me know down below in the comments, first of all, who your NFL team is, who your college football team is, man. I cannot wait for a season. It's heating up. It's about to be a great time, man. Let me know down below in the comments. Like this video if you like it. Dislike this video if you don't like it. Subscribe if you enjoy football content of all shapes and sizes. Of course, we're going to be locked in with Shedeur. Of course, we're going to be locked in with the Browns. Got to give the people what they want. But I might make a Texans video. Can I talk about my guys? Can I talk about my guys? Come on, man. Come on, man. Y'all let me know if there's any other content, any other teams you want me to cover down below. And just subscribe if you want to stay locked in, man. I really appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.